Shalom Chaverim. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. I apologize for not being on last Wednesday night. I was unavailable, and I didn't have my computer with me. So here we are. It's Wednesday. The weather was a little warmer, they said, but it still felt cold. It's winter. You know, I'm watching the news, and it's snowing in Buffalo, New York. It's snowing in Minneapolis. I'm 80, and I remember a lot of winters. It snows in Buffalo. It snows in Minneapolis. I don't think it should be on the news. What would be on the news if it was July and it was snowing in Buffalo, Minneapolis, and then they give the amounts. Just seems kind of odd that we've made such a big deal about snowing in places where it's always snowed. A word about being invited. Yes to all of you. Next Wednesday, co-host with me. All of you. RabbiBlock@hotmail.com. We'll meet in my Zoom room. We can discuss questions, format, how we're going to talk with each other. I promise, I guarantee, each of you saying invite me will be on. I say this every Wednesday night, and so far, not a single person has contacted me that leads me to believe that you really don't want to be on with me, that you don't want to have a dialogue or discussion, that you really just want to use my time for you to say whatever it is you want to say, but you could say it. Just let me know and we'll do it together. And I have something else interesting. Let me know when you're live and I'll come on. I'll do whatever you do to get invited, and that'll accomplish your goal. So please, I say this every Wednesday. It gets monotonous. It's just tiresome. Okay. I do not have an issue with Muslims. It's really a strange question. That reminds me of another question I have for you. Have you stopped abusing your partner? Just answer yes or no. Okay. The way you phrased it implies something. And I would like you to tell me where you got the idea or understanding that, because you're not saying, do you have an issue with golden retrievers? Do you have an issue with Roman Catholics? Funny? Yeah, thank you for apologizing. And no, I don't have any issue with any religion. I have an issue with the way some people interpret the religion. I don't know what you're talking about, blocking you. I don't block anybody on anything. It's the way individuals use religion to manipulate us, to gain power and control. The mega churches. Some people find it satisfying. That's okay. You're free to join. However, most of the large churches I find get their power and control by telling everyone that everyone else is wrong and they're right, rather than pointing out how defective Islam is, or Judaism is, or Christianity is. No, start with your religion and why is it positive. Tell me. I'm neither an agnostic nor an atheist. I believe in the one, a higher power. That's a neat question because most individuals take one definition of God and then branch out from that, or say, well, if you don't believe in that, you're an atheist. I do not believe that God is an old man in the sky dropping space toilets on people he doesn't like. I don't believe in a higher power that controls us or didn't give us choice or didn't give us free will. I believe in the one, and that's God. And I would like more of us to talk about God and not just one definition, okay? And yes, I just said that about inviting people. You're on. Reimagination, rabbiblock@hotmail.com. You're co-hosting with me next week. Send me an email, we'll meet in my Zoom room, and we'll decide how we're going to do that. Yes, the one. Someone just said, do you have a name for the God you believe in? It's not the God I believe in. It's God. One. Everything's interconnected. We're all part of one. And that's a neat question because different religions give specific names for God, and that fits with their teachings, and that certainly is an appropriate question. It's not that different than the concept of Brahman. Actually, it's the Tao, if to clarify, the Tao or Brahman. And if you look at world religions, you'll see that they're saying the same thing. Only in order to make their beliefs, their religion understandable, they use metaphors, allegories, and that makes sense because how else can you teach? And again, do you support Israel? It's kind of another one of those, have you stopped beating your partner? Do I support Israel's present politics in the West Bank and Gaza? No. But I believe Israel as a country, it has a right to exist in freedom and in safety. But I'm not an Israeli. I don't vote in Israel's politics. And so the idea of political Zionism, I'm not a big fan. But again, I'm an American, I'm Jewish, and I'm a rabbi. And I'd like to get to our topic because Christmas is coming and so is Hanukkah. There is no law, there is no rule, there is no war against saying Merry Christmas. Go ahead, say it, Merry Christmas. It's not going to offend me. Why would it offend me? There's no reason to. What we find happening is what I started with. There are politicians, there are... every time someone sends me a text or I get a remembrance or something, and unless I stop it, it's going to keep doing it. There are politicians who want to divide us, who want to create something, and then they can say, but I'm not for that. We have to stop it. So let's take a look at what's going on with this Merry Christmas. Say it. Now, a number of companies, corporations have decided that because there are a lot of individuals that observe the holiday of winter solstice, and there are people that come into my business, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't want anyone to take umbrage. So I'm going to ask my employees to say happy holidays. Nothing to do with being against Christmas. There's no war against saying Merry Christmas. It's really a PR move in order to welcome customers in your store. And I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think it's a good idea. It's a company, corporation. You own your own business. You're make food, not a deli, not a diner, more than a coffee shop. Would you say to customers, I'm sorry, I'm not going to serve you because... Oh, you want pork? We don't serve pork in this restaurant. Okay. A restaurant can set up any kind of a business or criteria that it wants. But if we're looking to bring in the most people, I might want to put a sign on my restaurant that says kosher halal, which means we don't serve pork, so that no one would come in ordering it, or wouldn't come in if they were looking for a ham sandwich or a BLT. That's pretty simple. This wouldn't, because it's up front. But I certainly wouldn't insult people coming in or accuse them of anything. And so, yeah, you know, someone asked again about the Buddha and Abraham and Jesus. Stop and look at naked religion. It's a neat term. Strip away what's been added over the years. Look at the teachings of Jesus. Look at the Sermon on the Mount. Look at the Beatitudes. Look at what Jesus said, not what Paul said Jesus said. Sia said. We can look at Hebrew scripture, Greek scripture, the Quran, and we could see what is being taught. And I think therein lies the problem. And I think that gets us back to joyous Hanukkah or saying Merry Christmas. The winter solstice has been observed since the beginning of recorded history. Human beings on our planet observed that between December 20th and December 23rd was the dark of the sun, the dark of the moon. And they got scared. They didn't know, would the sun come back? Would the cycle continue? Now, as the years went on, we realized that because the Earth moves around the sun and our galaxy and our planets move throughout the universe, there is a certain cycle that keeps repeating. And we've learned that between the 20th and 23rd, we have the dark of the sun, the dark of the moon, called the winter solstice. So it would be appropriate to have a holiday of lights. So we call Hanukkah the Festival of Lights, but the Festival of Lights predates the Maccabees and the revolt against the Syrian Greek armies and the cleansing of the temple by thousands of years, thousands. So the Yule, the Christmas tree, all the lights come out of a much older period than the birth of Jesus or the Maccabean revolt. So when we think of a festival of lights, we're talking about the winter solstice. It's a time very dark and it's a little depressing, especially if you live further north than here in D.C. It can be very depressing. The little daylight there is. People do live north of the Arctic Circle. People have the winter of total darkness and then a summer of sun all the time. In Scotland, in August, the sun doesn't seem to set until it's ready to come up. And people adjust. People change the way they live. Okay, so there is a pre-existing holiday, the winter solstice. And for a variety of reasons, the birth of Jesus became attached to the December. Hanukkah, the Maccabean revolt. So let's put aside historic accuracy. And if you're at all curious, send me an email and we can talk about the historic accuracy of why these dates are accurate, inaccurate, why they were picked, why they weren't picked. And let's just suspend disbelief for tonight or any time and take a look at a holiday to celebrate something happy, something glorious, something joyous. When you give presents to people, when you go to worship services, lots of good reasons to observe, and let's not negate the value because of the historic inaccuracies. Okay? So let's go back to saying Merry Christmas to someone. No war, no one's preventing it. Rather, you have to look and say, gee, I don't really want to insult anyone or give anyone any kind of impression. So I personally have decided I'm going to say Happy Holidays. And if someone says to me Merry Christmas, I usually say Merry Christmas back. Why not? Evidently, they're wishing me a Merry Christmas because that's something they observe. So I think they should enjoy it, and I want them to enjoy it. So let's put that aside. Put it away. There's no war. There's no one. It's really a matter of policy of companies and agencies because they don't want to alienate anyone or drive customers away. To be as neutral as possible. Maybe that's it. Maybe by saying Happy Holidays, we're more neutral. Okay? However, all that will do is drive a wedge between us and create them and us if we claim there is some kind of a war on wishing someone a happy holiday. Festival of Lights. It's December. It's a time to rejoice and be happy about things. Please explain, Rabbi. Could you swipe the fox? What do you mean by please explain, Rabbi? What is it you want me to explain? Oh, someone's saying goodbye, not that person. Okay, I'm looking at the questions to see if there's anything interesting. Cranberry juice, apple juice, and some seltzer. Happy holidays, Rabbi. You know, there's some bizarreness. The Talmud is a series of discussion and debates, and I wouldn't pretend to understand why some of the things included are included, but keep in mind that the Talmud is rabbinic discussion. It's not Jewish law. It doesn't reflect Jewish law, and it's not binding on anyone. And so that particular passage, I'm going to have to do some studying to see if we can ferret out who put it in and why. However, what's important is not just that. Any discussion in the Talmud is not binding. We do not have Jewish courts. Jewish law is a misnomer. The word for Jewish law is halakha. It means the way or path. And Sharia in Arabic means the way or the path. It doesn't mean Islamic law. We got into a rut because when we think of law, we think of police and arresting, and people have to follow the law. That's not true. The Buddha has an eightfold path. Path. Halakha, which we translate as law, is path. Sharia, which we translate as Islamic law, is path. And if you take a look at other religions, what you'll find is that same term, path or way. And if I'm going to teach Jewish values, I'm going to say, if you do these things, it's going to lead to. If you do these things, it's going to lead to the Buddha. No, it doesn't lead to the Buddha. It doesn't lead to Muhammad. It doesn't lead to Jesus. They all lead to God, to the one. Not the one, to one. The people at PT are fantastic. I highly recommend PT. But having been in a psychiatric hospital for 40 years and working with our veterans, I've seen what PT can do for our veterans. And some of the cases and some of the things, you'd shake your head and go, there's no way he's going to get better. That person will never walk. People after a stroke. PT does wonderful things. I'm moving because I'm trying to read it's written in white. Go to the Chabad website. I think they have a Talmud study program. Larry just asked me, I don't know much about Talmud, and how can I start learning? The other thing, Larry, is if you want to meet with me, we can set up a schedule of some kind, and we can study Talmud. Be glad to study Talmud with you. But if not, go to the Chabad website. Like I said, I think they have a page. It's called a daf. I think they have daf Talmud page every day, or they have some lessons, and that would be the best way. Is it true in the Talmud? Oh, I missed something. Again, let's go back to what the Talmud is. Think about college, high school. Think about meetings you've gone to. Somebody takes notes. Some people are really good. Some people write things down, and afterwards you wonder what we were talking about. That's the Talmud. The Talmud is rabbinic discussion, and any section is only as good as the recorder for that section, which means some sections of Talmud are wonderful. You can understand them. They're debating times for prayer. They're talking about when to light candles or what's kosher and what isn't, and you can learn a lot. There are other sections that are totally obtuse, and so it's the same thing. Yuval, Mike, Mina, email me. You can co-host with me next Wednesday night. I guarantee it. Talmud is the opinion of the sages. In a sense, it is, and it contains the majority and minority opinions. That's different. It's not just the opinion of the sages. It actually gives the names of the rabbis, and were they for or against something, or what did they argue? For example, when do you say the Shema in the morning? A lot of discussion, page after page. Someone said when you can differentiate between the colors blue and white. Someone was trying to come up with something practical. And then the discussion says, well, what color blue? Someone was trying to come up with something practical. And then the discussion says, well, what color blue? We read this debate about the colors and how far up the sun is. And so it's not binding law, and it tells us both sides. So one can look and go, oh, now I understand this particular school of rabbis, and now I understand this particular school, and how they understand the oral law and the written law. So, Talmud, just like school, where someone takes class notes. And recently, when I've been visiting my doctors, they're all using AIs, and they start off by saying, I'm going to record our meeting. Instead of taking notes, I'm going to have my AI write up the notes, and I'll send them to you, and you let me know if we left something out, if it's misinterpreted. And it's a wonderful idea, because then both my physician and myself can pay attention to each other, and my physician, she's not so busy remembering and writing down what we said, or even after, to sit at the computer and remember what we talked about. So the use of AI, when I'm seeing my physician, so far, every time I've seen a transcript, it is to the point. It is exact. The AI isn't adding, subtracting. Once in a while, it'll say something, you go, that's funny. Well, that's an odd choice. However, it's what my doc and I talked about. Unfortunately, in the Talmud, no AI. So an individual was chosen to record what was going on. And sometimes we get wacky stuff, bizarre things. So now that we're getting close to Christmas and Hanukkah, please wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And if you work for someone that says to you, please say Happy Holidays, say Happy Holidays. It's to be respectful, because you just don't know. Maybe the person walking in doesn't observe any holidays during the winter solstice. Maybe the person walking in is observing Kwanzaa, Hanukkah. Maybe they belong to a group of Christians that don't observe Christmas. There are several large groups of Christians who don't observe Christmas. So to wish them a Merry Christmas isn't fair, it's an insult. So, as a store owner, to get around hurting anyone, we're going to say Happy Holidays. But when you see me in privately, whatever you want to say, I'm thrilled. When I taught at Catholic high school for 40 or 50 years, John Carroll up in Bel Air, the sisters would do prayers for me, say a mass for me, observe my birthday, and what a great honor. What a great honor to be honored in a mass. Because that being their belief, they were honoring me with what they believe. You know, you're going to need a stocking stuffer. You're going to need something to put next to the menorah as a prize for playing dreidel. Now is the time. And if you don't want to go to Barnes & Noble or Amazon, your local independent bookstore will have your copy in 2 or 3 days. Huh? I'm solving all your holiday shopping problems, but most of all, your Christmas and Hanukkah. And what can I tell you? Remember, if you want to listen or see the YouTube, The Rabbi and I, and the podcast is called The Rabbi and I. Someone just asked me, how do miracles fit in with the modern Jewish faith? It's a neat question, and I'm going to write down miracles, because that's something that's worth talking about, and how the word has changed in meaning from what it originally was. Yeah. Pictures speak louder than words. Thank you for the comment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And next Wednesday night, all things being equal, I'll be here at 8 o'clock. And keep in mind, The Rabbi and I on YouTube, The Rabbi and I podcast, and the Wisdom of Rabbi Block is a independent podcast. It doesn't involve Joe. Thank you very much, and have a safe and have a Merry Christmas, a joyous Hanukkah. Observe, however you observe, the winter solstice. Good night.